Hi, welcome back to Carl and Eric Talk Risk. Eric,
Yo,
good to see you.
how
Uh,
we do?
yeah, you've been traveling. I'm back from vacation. We should be fresh and ready to go today, right?
Actually, I'm exhausted, so I hope you're gonna keep this one going.
Yikes. Let's try. Um, we had a lot. We've got way too many things to talk about, which is great. And yeah, we've been thinking about like what's going to be in the next couple of episodes. But yeah, um, today I'll post the link in the description. But there was a really interesting newsletter I sometimes get, and the author I think was from Cal Newport. Yeah, it is computer science professor at MIT. And he was talking about the Jevons paradox. Cool name. And we like a good paradox on this podcast. Let's not say otherwise. Um, and so it comes from a guy named Jevons. Don't remember the exact history, but it was basically about I think it was about oil. And Jevons said that, well, if we get much more efficient at using oil, we're not going to use less of it. We're actually going to use more of it because we're going to find more applications of oil. And hey, I think that's come true. Oil is in a lot of stuff, as many people have found out since the Strait of Hormuz is closed. It's everywhere, and we've gotten much more efficient at using it. And basically, Cal Newport is applying the Jevons paradox, to AI in saying that, hey, don't worry that using AI is going to decimate the workforce and we're all going to be out of jobs and not using, and AI is going to replace us. That's not the right thing to worry about. Um, as we get more efficient at using AI, there's going to be more applications of AI. We're going to find other areas where AI can be helpful, and that's going to spread. And yeah, you may need more people to do that. And that's kind of true if you look at back at previous industrial revolutions. You've never really needed fewer people. They've automated some part of what humans do, and then you've needed more humans because there's more things to do, right? So I don't know. Does that it's interesting. I like his newsletter because he gives you a different. You kind of get the doomsday preachers on social media and in the news, and then you get. For me, it's Cal Newport saying, "Listen, hey, well, what about this?" Which is nice, and probably motivating for students that I think really get um, can get down about their job prospects in an AI workforce. Um,
Yeah, again, I always go back on my experience and being old. That's one of the few advantages of being old. And I grew up with computers. Okay, I was very fortunate. I got exposed to computers in high school at a time when most people couldn't. I had no clue what a computer was, other than something that was running things on the Jetsons cartoon show. Which, by the way, I miss the Jetsons. I got to look up the Jetsons. If someone has like a streaming service that shows the Jetsons, let me know. Um, and then, of course, I was in the thick of it in the business world as the internet came along. Um, and now, of course, I'm at the tail end of my career. So basically, I got three defined pensions, defined benefit pensions. So I don't really care. Okay, I'm ready to drift off into the sunset, and most people want me to drift off into the sunset. But as I think back, one particular example I think of is when things first started to get digitized around the mid 90s, which I realize is ancient history for most people. Paper was going to disappear. Okay.
but
And what happened was paper exploded. Um, there was a terrific one of my favorite radio shows is This Is That, which was done by CBC. See if you can look
Mm,
up old episodes of it. It is hilarious. And it's basically, if you don't know what it is, you think that you're listening to a real life radio interview that is serious, but it's making uh, fun of everything. It was talking about, it was a supposed interview with a paper industry executive, um,
mm,
and talking about pleading their new campaign to get people to use paper, just use paper. And it's just hilarious. This is that CBC radio. Um, what I see is we go through cycles with these things, okay, with new technology. And this was certainly true with computers. We thought that computers were going to do everything. Then we became more realistic. Then we
mm,
realized that computers can do a whole bunch of different stuff that was very, very, very different from what the visionaries said. The
yeah.
same thing with the internet. Okay, I was very, because of what I was doing at the time and the investment products I was developing, I was, I had a front row seat to how people and the visionaries were thinking about the internet industry. And internet was going to do everything.
Hmm.
Then we had the dot-com bubble burst and we became much more realistic. But then the
Mm,
internet went off and did do everything, but everything different than what we originally thought.
yeah.
And I think that we're here with artificial intelligence. I think we're playing out the exact same thing. I'm not necessarily saying that there's a bubble, but
Yeah.
we've got a lot of low hanging fruit, and and so people are glomming on and using AI for the low hanging fruit. So, for example, students are using it to do their assignments, and for those who still have face to face in paper exams, they're using it as a study guide.
Hmm.
Okay. And so we go in this linear path, just making incremental changes.
Hmm.
But the real effect of AI is likely to be something that no one's thinking of right now. And it's
Yeah.
likely to morph into existence or
Mm,
or or creep up on us like, proverbial frog in the pot of cold water that's slowly brought to a boil. And I still think that AI is net positive for us. I still
mm,
believe in people. I still believe that it's going to be a net benefit for humanity. But we've got to realize that with every major technological change, the thought leaders have more or less all been wrong in the
mm,
specifics. They might have
yeah.
been right in the big picture, it's going to change everything, but they've been wrong in the specifics. And we need people to realize that, I think.
Yeah. 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 It's such a plastic technology. It can be used so many ways, right? And we're in the phase where it's still spreading, getting into everybody's hands, and they're going to use it in different ways. And I like something you said, or you kind of implied it, but I haven't heard it said by anyone else that at the end of the day, technology needs to move at the speed of people. Like we're the
Yeah,
ones
yeah.
getting the benefits out of it. We have to like experiment and find things, and humans move at human speed. I mean, we're not. AI might be helping us do things quicker, but still, it needs to embed itself and get into us, and then we can, start finding out there's really great
I'm
uses.
going to steal that. Technology needs to move at speed of humans. Speedy. You know, one of my favorite examples is Facebook. Okay.
Hmm.
This is basically a way for a totally undateable guy to get dates. Okay. Who
Yeah,
thought that it was going to morph into the superpower for little old ladies to share cat videos?
yeah,
Who,
yeah,
who in their right mind, even Timothy Leary at his most LSD induced, couldn't have made that leap, right? It's
yeah,
designed
yeah,
for an undateable guy to get a date.
yeah. From
Okay.
his high school crush, can't find her on the internet somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
So,
selling secondhand products and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
but having said that, um, look at the industry that Facebook created. But
Mm.
also, so in terms of Jevon's paradox, the better that you get at it, okay, the more infrastructure you need around it. And the more infrastructure it also spins off, which again spins off its own infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But
Yeah.
the other part of that is, of course, the unintended consequences. Is Facebook, its intention, if you take it at face value, is to make us more connected. And again, I don't mean to
Yeah.
pick on Facebook. It's just, you know, put in whatever social media you want, TikTok,
Yeah.
whatever. It's meant to bring us together. What's it done is it's created a crisis of loneliness and social isolation
Yeah.
for basically anyone who grew up with it.
Yeah.
It's only
Yeah.
ironically, the people who were lonely and isolated before it who are using it for its intended or have
Yeah.
had the intended effect of connectedness,
Yeah.
thinking of, I don't want to pick on little old ladies, but little old ladies sharing cat videos. Okay.
Yeah.
But the reason that they can use it is because they have the prior history. Here's the thing
Yeah.
is I think that, all technology disruptions are coming from a place that we have no experience in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here we've got the home computer, we've got the internet, and we've got AI following in pretty quick succession.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we haven't really, and I'd say social media being a disruptor in there. So we kind of got every basically 10 years in very quick succession, whereas it
Yeah.
took us, from the steam engine to the car, it took us,
Mm.
half a century, and then from,
Yeah.
so the car finally got swallowed, not swallowed, but fully integrated, it took us another 50 years there. Um,
Yeah.
and the problem is, we're not in my opinion, we're not fully integrating the previous disruption before the next disruption is upon us. Whereas
Yeah.
other generations going back, hundreds of years, they had a full 100 years to digest and have a
Yeah.
generation go through the learning pains, and then a generation learn from those learning pains, and then the third generation actually fully integrate and properly use that disruption before they got on to the next disruption. We're going through and we're still trying to deal with the introduction of computers in the home.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Um,
Like, we learned
what?
obviously no lessons from the computers in the home to the introduction of the iPhone, computers in the pocket. We
Yeah.
obviously did not fully integrate and learn and develop.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, even their whole business model still needs to be worked out, right? You mean social media came up, and I saw this in a commencement speech I was reading the other day that I think I sent to you, Rick. Um, who's paid Facebook? Have you ever paid Facebook a dime? I haven't. I mean, their whole business model kind of disrupted things by, taking our data and selling it onto advertisers. And AI also needs to come up with. There is no business model around it yet, right? At the moment, it's use it for free. So there are paid versions, of course. You get more powerful ones, but basically, we are the training data for improvements in the model and figuring out how to use it. But um, still some work to be done there, I would say.
Yeah, I I think of Facebook as just totally enhancing the radio business model. Of
Okay.
you start with advertising, and then you progress to targeted advertising, and then you progress to forget advertising, just sell the damn data. um
Right. Yeah.
Radio wasn't capable of tracking us individually. Now Spotify,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm still in the top 3% of power punk listeners according to Spotify. Woohoo.
Yeah.
Mono Inc.
Um,
owes me a check.
with all that data, I wouldn't say that I get the most targeted ads. Sometimes they're in the right language though, and then I'm like,
But
okay.
actually, let's go back to Spotify and Jevon's paradox. I don't know if you subscribe to Spotify. I do.
I have before, yeah.
Actually, uh, quick funny story is my daughter bought me a Spotify subscription for Christmas. What she did tell me is A, it was a trial version, and B, the credit card used for it was mine. But
Surprise!
and of course, she knew that would be several years before I found out. And so I was thanking her every year for my Spotify subscription that I thought that she bought for me year after year after year. But here, let's look at Spotify. You have the world of music at your hands. And if you fall asleep, and I don't mean that literally, or perhaps literally, Spotify will take you off in whatever direction its algorithm wants. But when you have the world at your hand, it your music listening actually becomes much less disciplined, much less curated, much less focused, or at
Mm,
least mine does. And so when we get to Jevon's paradox, I think that actually when we do get good at stuff, we do use more of it, not less of it. When we become more efficient at using something, we're not going to use it less, we're going to use it more. But the danger is that we use it in a less curated manner, in a less thoughtful manner, in a less conscious manner, in a less deliberate manner. And that, I
mm,
think, is potentially where the wheels come off.
yeah, yeah. Okay, I better stop there because my screen just dimmed, and that means my battery's gonna go soon.
Carl's out
Um,
of
all
energy. Someone send Carl's computer some caffeine.
right, back to my docking station. All right, been good talking, Rick. We'll
Have a good
chat
one,
again soon.
everyone.
Cheers,
Cheers.
everybody.